Hey everyone, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Keisha, this is Jovi, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I hope to read in the month of December. Jovi, it's almost Christmas! Is Santa Claus gonna come see you this year? And you're gonna get in your stocking? Where's your stocking? I bet Didi put some presents in your stocking, and Santa Claus is probably going to put some too. Are you going to shake now? Are you so excited for Christmas? Yeah? So excited for Christmas. I'm so excited that it is finally time for Vlogmas and all of the Christmas content. I took a little bit of a break in November, and honestly, I got a bit bored, so I'm very excited to be back. You guys can be expecting all kinds of Christmas content from me this year. I do have a content calendar available, which I will link down below so you can check it out on my Instagram. But the goal is basically to post 3 videos a week on top of also doing some other fun things on my channel and also on some of my friends' channels. But today we are here to talk about my December TBR. So let me just go ahead and start by telling you what books I plan on reading as buddy reads. My first buddy read is going to be with my friend Gabby from the channel Gabbing About Books, and we are going to be buddy reading The Holiday Switch by Marcelo. This is a young adult Christmas romance that follows our main character, Lila Santos, and Lila is really excited for her last winter break of her high school year. She lives in a small town called Holly, New York, and this Christmas season, she is earning extra cash working at the local inn, which just also happens to be the setting of the greatest film of all time, Holiday by the Lake. Lila is also moonlighting as an anonymous book blogger while she is working at the inn. Lila is having the best time until her boss's nephew, Teddy Rivera, comes into the picture. Lila is very type A, and Teddy is anything but Lila's way, so they definitely butt heads a lot in this, but then something happens where they end up switching phones, and there are text messages throughout this book. I think they kind of figure out what the other one's thinking or realize they've been hiding things from each other, and this just sounds like it's going to be a really cute Christmas romance. I also love that it's YA. I don't love a lot of YA books, but I found that YA romances can be really sweet, and they're oftentimes closed door because I don't really like a lot of smut in my romances, so I'm hoping this is going to be a good one. It's also really short, so hopefully it'll be a quick read as well. The next book I'm going to be buddy reading is A Cross Country Christmas by Courtney Walsh, and I'm going to be reading this with my friend Gwen from Lavender Mud over on Instagram and Gwendolyn Kinsinger here on YouTube. This is probably one of my most anticipated Christmas books this year because it sounds like it's going to have everything that I enjoy. I am going to read the back of this one just because I feel like it is so eloquently said. So this says, Lauren Richmond isn't a fan of Christmas, which is why she rarely makes the trip home to the Midwest for the holidays. After all, she has plenty to keep her busy, namely her duties as a set decorator on a TV sitcom. But this December, Lauren's brother and his wife are expecting a baby, so her brother arranges a ride home for her with his good friend, Will. We're going to stop there so I can let you know that my husband's name is Will, if you didn't already know that, so I'm already going to be obsessed with this character. Unfortunately for Lauren, she's been trying to forget college baseball coach and childhood crush Will Sinclair for more than 10 years. Now, thanks to her fear of flying, she's stuck in a car with him from California to Illinois. She's circumspect and organized, he's flirty and spontaneous. She's convinced that people don't change. He's trying to prove to her and himself that he has. On this cross-country road trip, they'll both discover that history doesn't exactly repeat itself, but like any good Christmas carol, it does have a second verse. This sounds like it's going to be childhood friends to lovers or second chance romance. Maybe not childhood friends to lovers because I don't know if they were friends before they were lovers, but obviously like childhood crush. Second chance romance, I don't care. Those are all things that I love. And the fact that they're going to be in close proximity in a car on a road trip together just sounds like the best thing ever. So I'm very excited to read this one. It's also another short one, so hopefully that means I can get through a lot of my Christmas reads. My next buddy read is not a Christmas romance, but it's one that I'm very excited about, and that is going to be The Christmas Murder Game by Alexandra Benedict. I've been really looking forward to this one. It is a Christmas murder mystery, and I'm going to be reading this with my friend Elizabeth from Ponytails and Paperbacks. The story follows our main character, Lily Armitage, and Lily is invited to go to Endgame, which is her family's estate, because this year they're going to be playing a game and the grand prize is deeds to the house itself. This is an annual Christmas game that has taken place at Endgame House for years, but Lily has no intentions of returning to Endgame House. Her mother died 21 years ago, and she has no intentions of going back to the house that haunts her dreams. However, she ends up receiving a mysterious letter from her aunt promising that the game's riddles will give her keys to not only Endgame, but will tell her its darkest secrets, including the identity of her mother's murderer. Now Lily must compete with her estranged cousins for the 12 days of Christmas. The snow is thick, the phone lines are down, and no one is getting out. Lily will have to keep her wits about her because not everyone is playing fair, and there's no telling how many will die before the winner is declared. Now moving on to the other miscellaneous books that I hope to get to this December. The first one is another YA Christmas romance, and this one is called So This Is Christmas by Tracy and Andreen. Christmas, Oklahoma is a terrible place to celebrate Christmas. Thankfully, it seems to be the perfect place to fall in love. The story follows our main character, Finley, and she is going home to Christmas, Oklahoma for Christmas, but when she gets there, she finds that one of her classmates is actually there. His name is Arthur, and she doesn't really like him very much, and she's kind of wondering why he and his grandmother decided to stay at her grandmother's inn. She's wondering if it may be because she really elaborated about the Christmassiness and the wonderfulness of Christmas, Oklahoma on the town's website, but in reality, she's really struggling with a lot of things like her parents. There's something going on with her parents, and there's also something that has gone on with her ex-boyfriend and her best friend. So she's going through quite a lot, and now she's got to put up with Arthur. But as she spends more time with him, I think she starts to realize he may be kind of hot. So this just sounds like it's going to be a really cute, maybe enemies to lovers type story. I'm not really sure, but it definitely sounds like a good Christmas read. Next up, I have two books that have been on my Christmas TBR for the past couple of Christmases, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them, but the first one is Last Christmas in Paris by Hazel, Gaynor, and Heather Webb. This is a historical fiction book that is written some in letters, but not completely in letters. It says, Thomas Harding travels to the City of Lights, a packet of cherished letters in hand. Letters that tell a story of love and loss, friendship and family, and the innocent hopes of a generation devastated by war. As he reads the letters one more time, Tom is transported back to 1914 and the sunlit August day when Evie Elliott waves goodbye to him and her brother Will as they head to the Western Front. They all believe the war will be over by Christmas and that they will be reunited again in a couple of months. However, the war drags on for years and years. As time goes by, Tom's and Evie's lives become bound together by the letters and telegrams, notes and stories that travel between them from the front line in France to a quiet suburb of London. But as their friendship flourishes, there is far more than words held between the pages of Tom and Evie's letters. Now, decades later, Thomas finds himself once again in his beloved Paris, determined to fulfill a last promise and to lay to rest the ghosts of the past, but one final letter is waiting for him. I feel like this is going to be a friends to lovers romance that is obviously set during wartime. It takes place, I think I said World War II, but it's World War I. So I'm really excited to read this. This is one I've really been anticipating, but I never get to it every year. So I'm hoping that I can prioritize this one. I am feeling a little bit of like an emotional read. So hopefully this will be a good one to kind of fill that void. And the other book that has constantly been on my list, y'all are about to scream at me if I don't read this year. It is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. Okay. I know I need to read this. I am fully aware that I need to read this. I started reading this like 2 Christmases ago, but it's always like my last priority. So I'm going to need y'all to tell me to read this first because I need to read it. And everybody loves this book. It is like a Scrooge Christmas Carol retelling. On Christmas Eve 5 years ago, Holly was visited by 3 ghosts who showed her how selfish and spoiled she'd become. They tried to convince her to mend her ways. She didn't, and then she died. Now she's stuck working for the top secret company, Project Scrooge, as the latest ghost of Christmas past. Every year they save another miserly grouch. Every year, Holly stays frozen at 17 while her family and friends go on living without her. So far, Holly's afterlife has been miserable. But this year, everything is about to change. So I know I need to get to this one. I have a feeling I'm going to love it. When I started it before, I was really enjoying the writing, but I've got to make sure this one is a priority. I think I mentioned wanting an emotional book earlier. So I didn't get to this book in November, and if I don't get to it in December, then I'll just save it for January because it's not necessarily a Christmas read, but it's definitely a wintry read, and that is Once Upon a Wardrobe by Patti, Callahan. This is said to be good for fans of the Chronicles of Narnia, as the main character in this book
loves the Chronicles of Narnia. So we've got Meg's Devonshire, and she has a sick little brother, and one of his last wishes is to find out where Narnia came from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. And there's no way that she can refuse her brother's last wish. So she goes to find C.S. Lewis, and when she meets him, he's kind of beating around the bush, and she's receiving stories that aren't necessarily answers to her little brother's question, but what she ends up getting will reveal to Meg's many truths that science and math cannot, and the gift she thought she was giving to her brother, the story behind Narnia, turns out to be his gift to her instead. Hope. I really love the Chronicles of Narnia. I haven't read all of the books. I think I'm just lacking the last two, but I really enjoy that world. The movies were really awesome, and I love how it ties in with faith. So I'm really excited to pick this one up. I have a feeling it's probably going to make me cry. And then the last book is not a Christmas book. It is not a winter book, as far as I know anyways, but it is a book that, by gosh, I've got to finish this year, because I would be doing my favorite author a disservice if I did not finish this book by the end of the year, because I have not read from her this year. I read 4 books from her last year, but I have not read any books from her this year, and I've got to read this book. But if I don't, I'll read it in January. But you guys have seen this on my TBR so many times, you're probably tired of it, but it's The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon. I'm just trying to read this before the end of the year. I didn't get to it by the end of November, and I'm hoping maybe I can read it in January. If I get tired of Christmassy reads, then maybe this one will kind of fill my cup in a more spooky way. So I feel like I've said the synopsis 1,000 times. Basically, there's dual timelines, and there is a woman who is a child psychologist. She has her own grandkids. One day, she brings home a little girl that she works with to play with her grandkids, and the little girl is a little bit off. And then you've got the kids also playing like this monster club game that they play where they try to hunt monsters. Then in present day, you have Lizzie Shelley, who is the host of a popular podcast called Monsters Among Us, and she's traveling to Vermont where a young girl has been abducted, and a monster sighting has the town in an uproar, and she's determined to hunt this monster down, because if anyone believes in monsters, it's Lizzie, because her sister actually is one. So you've probably heard me say that synopsis 20 times this year, but hopefully this will be the last time, because maybe I'll actually get to it this December. I actually have one more book on my list, and that is going to be my middle grade book club's pick. I don't have it with me yet. It should be coming in the mail soon, but it is Young Scrooge by R.L. Stine. This is the book that my kiddos picked for this month, and this is actually going to be our last book club ever. So it's going to be kind of bittersweet. So we are going to be reading Young Scrooge, which is basically a spooky retelling of A Christmas Carol. I don't have any more information on it than that, but I think it's going to be a good time. I'm also planning on picking up another Christmas book before the end of the month, so I can't exactly tell you what that one is because I don't even know what it will be. I do have some books in mind, but you'll just have to stick around and see. All right, y'all, that is all of the Christmas books and not Christmas books that are on my December TBR. Hopefully, I will be able to get to all of them. If not, maybe Jovi will get to them because maybe she needs some light reading. Does that sound like a good plan? She always shakes when I hold her up and I just feel so bad, but I'm like, just look at the camera and look cute because everybody loves to see you. If you've made it this far in the video, don't forget to leave a Christmas tree emoji down in the comments below. And if you haven't already checked out in my description box the link to my Instagram where you can go and see what content I have planned all throughout the month of December, be sure to do that. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed and I will see you in my next video. Bye, friends.